Hello, everyone. Would like to discuss a few things about Young Washington. For those who don't know me, my name is Brandon. I'm a reenactor and in college for liberal arts with a major in history. Now, Young Washington has blown up for some reason. I can't tell you why. It's been a month since it came out. And it, in my opinion, was a decent movie. It wasn't perfectly historically accurate, but what movie is perfect to its source, base source? So there are a few things I would like to discuss. Um, First of all, the company is called Angel Studios. They're best known for a television show called Chosen. They are a streaming service that is going into the world of movie making. Good for them. Their budget was $20 million to make this movie. They made back 20 million. So they made put 20 in and then made another 20. So altogether they made 41 something if I remember the numbers correctly. Good for them. They made a little bit money on a movie. Um, Going to another point that people have made, the acting wasn't perfect. Well, I thought it was pretty good, but yeah, it could be because this is a streaming service that cannot hire superstar actors. So let's give them a break there. Um, One of the big starting ones was the whole thing with Miss Fairfax, who wasn't Miss Fairfax in the movie. She was going by her surname in the movie, or maiden name. Um, but her and George Washington had a thing, which at the time that he went up to the Ohio Valley, she was already married. Um, so they're saying, no, there was no spark, there was no relation. There are letters, which I will put down in the description from a link, that show that George Washington sent Miss Fairfax letters that could be considered a little more than friendly. So, could there have been a spark? Yes. It would not be the first time that someone who loved someone else had to marry someone in order to move their status up for their family. Not saying that's what happened, just saying that's what could have happened, which is what's represented in the movies. People of color, this one I almost laughed out loud about. Um, Remind you, this is Virginia, the almost capital of slavery in the American colonies. And this person said that people of color, when on screen, were only shown to be subservient. I'm sorry, but most of them, most people of color who were over here during the French and Indian War, were slaves. The individuals that they're talking about who were with the Virginia militia cutting the trees were slaves. The people down in the kitchen were slaves. So when you show people of color, you're not going to show a free person because that would be much more unlikely for that time period than you would be slaves. Remember, this is Governor Dunwoody. Dunmore, almost 20 years later, is the governor who released the slaves for his military. So all people of color in Virginia would have been mostly slaves. There's that one gone. This is a good story. We see this at the end where George Washington is almost shot by the Native Americans and the bullets miss him. So, quick history lesson. There were 4 holes in George Washington's clothes that day after the battle was done at Monongahela. And he had 2 horses shot out from underneath him. That is historically accurate. Um, the incident with the Native Americans did happen, and once again, this will be in the documents or description below. It did not happen the way they said it happened, where he invited them over after the battle. That did not happen. It happened many years later when George Washington was surveying something, and they invited him over, or the Native Americans found him and had a conversation. I forgot what happened, but that did happen. Next, we will discuss George Washington's friend. I recommend, if you want to know more about young George Washington, you get this book, which discusses the journal. His friend did not die at Fort Necessity, like is shown in the movie. His friend was a couple years older than him. I think he was 50 actually. I forgot exactly how old he was, but he was there during the battle and all this, and they were very close friends. Okay, they killed someone who wasn't killed in real life to move the characters along. Big deal. Finally, the battle scenes. And this is one where I agree that the battles could have been better. The worst scene is the French pulling up those naval guns and bringing out those big Q-tip looking ramrods. Now, there are a few points that I have been brought up uh, from other individuals. Remember, these people are the French soldiers that were at LaBeouf were French Marines. Now, that means they could have had naval pieces, but more realistically, they would have had artillery pieces or field cannons. I mean, um, that being said, who would notice besides a reenactor or someone who actually cares about the actual history? This is such a minute point that the history gets too much. Just let that go. They had cannons, okay? Maybe they didn't have them in real life. Maybe they did. Who cares? It's just okay. The next part is which I didn't like. There's a scene where I think it's George Washington kicks up a musket with his foot and catches it. That would never happen. I don't think it would happen. There are a few scenes in this movie that are not really realistic, sadly. Um, there was a scene I remember Barbara and I, my wife, discussing cannonballs being dropped and them exploding like mortar shells. And I told her, she goes, "Oh, the battle's so intense and all this." I go, "Where are those explosions coming from? it's like those would not have existed. And once again, this is a point where historians and reenactors are going to go, that would not have happened. But, and here's the wonderful part, what's going to happen is those individuals who don't understand the history, who don't know the history, are going to go to places like where I'm going to be next week at Crown Point and go to one of us and go, well, you saw that scene in George Washington, Young Washington, how historically accurate is it? And then we get to tell them it's not historically accurate and tell them the real story, and they get the knowledge of what actually happened. And that's the wonderful part about it, is that movies like Young Washington, movies like The Patriot, like Last of the Mohegans, like I would even say Abraham Lincoln, um, uh, Vampire Slayer, or whatever it is. All those movies might not be perfectly historically accurate, especially the last one, but they cause a spark in what people want to know. And that is the most important thing, is that we can teach individuals and get them to learn the information. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments. Have a great day, guys.